From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Vice President Kashim Shettima joins world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly, vows enduring global collaboration. Federal government recommits to constitutional reforms as House of Representatives holds public hearing on review. World leaders throw weight behind Palestine's statehood as Israel says move may undermine prospects of peace deal on Gaza war.
And in business, Nigeria's gross domestic product grows by 4.23% in the second quarter of 2025, marking an improvement from the previous quarter.
And in sports, Botswana declares a public holiday following historic performance at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We begin tonight in New York, where Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima reaffirmed commitment to continuous international cooperation. He was speaking at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, where he is representing President Bola Tinubu. The Vice President is expected to deliver Nigeria's national statement, participate in high-level debates, and unveil the country's new climate commitments under the Paris Agreement. He will also attend roundtables on housing, bilateral meetings, among other events. News Central's correspondent Bettina Uweli reports.
Even the Vice President, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, restated Nigeria's commitment to multilateralism and global reforms, including the United Nations Convention on Taxation and Africa's demand for permanent representation on the United Nations Security Council. He also highlighted Nigeria's role in peacekeeping efforts in conflicts in Sudan, Gaza, and the Eastern Congo.
The topical issues that will clearly come up. So we've reiterated Nigeria's position, the conflicts in the Middle East, in Gaza, Israel, Palestine. There's the issue of Eastern Congo. There is the conflict in Sudan. The Vice President will be meeting with the Prime Minister of Sudan. He's also going to be participating in the African Union's Peace and Security Council meeting, which is going to be taking place.
Governor Ubasani of Kaduna State has expressed optimism that Nigeria's participation at UNGA will strengthen its profile as a top investment destination, especially in solid minerals, agriculture, and education.
We're looking at other areas of investment that have to do with our economy. That's the area of agriculture. We also are looking at other areas of skill-based education in our own country, and of course, because of what will be done in our own economy, particularly some of the reforms that has to do with the removal of fuel subsidy and elimination of multiple exchange rate.
And we also have a number of interventions and side events that Nigeria will be hosting. Tomorrow we have a Nigeria Investment Day at 12 noon. His Excellency the Vice President will be there. We'll be highlighting our priority sectors. We'll be highlighting solid minerals, and we'll be highlighting telecommunications technology in its entirety.
As Vice President Shettima takes Nigeria's message to the global stage, expectations are high that the country's renewed push for reform, investments, and sustainable development will resonate strongly at this year's General Assembly. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
Thank you for staying with us. Meanwhile, conversations concerning Africa's growth and development have been ongoing at the Global Africa Business Initiative, Gabi 2025, as part of the side activities of this year's UN General Assembly. This next report by News Central's lead correspondent Bernard Akede gives more insight to how Gabi 2025 has been so far.
Everyone to the 4th annual Unstoppable Africa, proudly convened by the UN Global Compact.
It's the Global Africa Business Initiative, Gabi 2025, also themed Unstoppable Africa. Now, Gabi is one of the side events, and I do say one of the biggest side events that takes place around the United Nations General Assembly here in New York, United States of America. And Gabi is one of the events where we have the biggest business moguls in Africa, as well as the young entrepreneurs who are trying to do something innovative and bring forth some new initiatives to Africa business across the globe.
Gabi has set such an ambitious vision.
The points that I made and stressed were, to do any of that, to move up the value chain, we need to consider three fundamentals, which is how can we develop cheap, reliable power? We need access to infrastructure, we need sound infrastructure, we need access to water.
For me, one is Africa needs to have something called believability, the fact that we can achieve it. The fact that we can actually do what's happening in the West. It'll take a lot of drive. I think the way to start is a political will, because all these have to come through policies, and so there has to be a very stronger collaboration at a very national level, so among nations, and then we have to filter it down to the economic will, because based on the conversations we've had here, is that everybody can see the opportunity.
So the Water Life Initiative is an initiative that fosters community development and also issues surrounding the UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in the area of clean water, sanitized water, and creating water supply in underdeveloped areas across Africa.
We co-founded Dairy Healthcare to help people with reduced mobility to be more autonomous and free to move. So our device, DKIT, can be installed on any manual wheelchair to transform it to electric wheelchair. This way, people can get to travel, to take a taxi with their lightweight wheelchair, having the advantages of manual and electric one.
Social Pay is a program that we've created to help finance and initiate financing for small and medium enterprises so that they'll be able to get credit financing for their solar systems as well as their productive tools. And we also merge them with financiers who are ready to finance them so that they can pay for solar systems at a lesser price, but to pay bit by bit until it is all theirs at the end of the day.
Now this year we've had leaders across Africa come forward to speak on the first day of Gabi, but very importantly is the beginning of the program, which was kick-started by United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who spoke about several points that Gabi will be addressing this year.
We gather on the eve of the United Nations 80th General Assembly High-Level Week at a time of turbulence but also tremendous opportunity.
Those points include unleashing the full potential of Africa's growth through improved infrastructure like roads, schools, hospitals, and the economy generally. He also talked about driving green energy revolution. Africa does have massive solar and wind power, but she only receives a disappointing 2% profit from this particular sector. The Secretary General also talked about investments in food cultivation. Now, despite owning majority of the world's uncultivated arable land, Africa still imports food worth billions of dollars every year. Also discussed was the acceleration of Africa's digital leap, and most importantly, the Secretary General also talked about Africa having a permanent seat at the Security Council this year. This is one topic that was hammered on last year, and we do hope that this year is not going to be a talk shop. News Central is going to be following the conversations at Gabi this year closely, and we do hope that at the end, a lot of things will change across the continent based off of the conversations held at Gabi 2025. In New York for News Central, Bernard Akede.
Bernard joins me now for a conversation as to what is happening at the 80th edition alongside global policy analyst Joseph Babalola. Thank you both for being here tonight. I'll start with you, Bernard. What do we need to know as this General Assembly kicks off in New York? I know there are multiple issues, but what are the key ones we have to keep in mind?
All right, thank you for having me, Felicity. Now, I think some of the key issues that we have to keep in mind, and I'll start with Africa to start with. Unfortunately, these are issues that were hammered upon last year. We're talking about insecurity, First of all, we're talking about food security. Secondly, we're also talking about climate change. Now, that's going to be a global conversation that has been ongoing for a couple of years. And now, besides that, we're going to talk about international relations between Africa and the global West, basically. There's also going to be debt relief. We also saw parts of that particular conversation last year. We're going to have it in there. And then, of course, there are the SDGs, basically, that will largely be hammered upon. But besides all of this, there's one major one, like I mentioned lastly, in the package that you just watched, and that is having at least one African nation to have a permanent seat at the Security Council. This is something that has been a long time coming. The Secretary General of United Nations, Antonio Guterres, did mention at the event that was hosted yesterday and today that he hopes that definitely this year we would have at least one African nation have a permanent seat at the Security Council. It's long overdue, and we're hoping that that eventually will become a reality at this 80th ceremony of the United Nations General Assembly. Besides Africa, coming to the rest of the world now, we're equally definitely going to see conversations around the Israel-Palestinian war. We're equally going to see Russia-Ukraine, which we saw last year. And then again, there's something quite interesting. Remember that our host, so to speak, President Donald Trump of the United States, this is going to be his first UN General Assembly upon his second coming as the President of the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see some of the conversations and some of the things that he's going to be talking about, besides everything else that's going to be happening. But again, we do hope to have some very interesting conversations that will not just end as a talk shop, but that will lead to some strategic policy changes.
I know that Tuesday is special for speeches, from global leaders and side sessions. What can you tell us about what is the sense you're getting as to the continued push for a United Nations Security Council seat for Africa? Is there this sense that there is unity in the push and there is maybe a consensus of which country should be on that seat?
Talking about unity for the push, as at last year, I think between last year and this year, yes, I would say there definitely has been unity for the push, particularly from the African nations. Almost every African leader who spoke last year hammered on the fact that African countries should be given a shot at having a permanent seat at the Security Council. We spoke to Vice President Kashim Shettima last year, and I asked him personally, why do you think now is the time? He said, because we have the numbers, that's in terms of population, we have the economy, and that if Africa wasn't doing so good, and then the rest of the world wouldn't be coming our way. So there definitely is something that we're offering that's looking good. So it's about time for Africa to have that permanent seat. So in terms, again, to answer your question, in terms of unity and collaboration, I think yes, it's there. It's just left for the rest of the world to key in to this idea and this belief that Africa's time has come.
All right, let's go to Joseph for a bit. So we have the numbers. I know there are loads of priorities, but this is one thing that has been peculiar to Africa. We've always wanted this UN seat. That argument, do you think it's going to come up this time around? Is there a chance that in the face of all the issues that are going, that is requiring global attention, that this will come somewhere in the middle or at the top?
I think that this issue is actually coming up. It's time. It's time because Africa, like you said, we have the population, we have the economy, we have the mineral resources, and so many other countries, China, United States, Europe, they're all coming to Africa to actually take advantage of the mineral resources that we have. So I think it's about time that Africa actually has a voice, right? A voice that is loud, that is audible, that is respectable, right, in the United Nations. And I think that it's going to come up at this time. In terms of the actual implementation of it, it may not be exactly time, but I think that the more we talk about it, the more they actually see that there is a need to have a permanent African representative in the United Nations.
What should be Nigeria's best foot forward in this year's edition? What should be our message?
Well, I think that we should make sure that the SDGs, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, that we actually take it very, very seriously, that we actually keen into it. One of the key things is AI, which is artificial intelligence. Like, there is no way that even the world is going to take you seriously if you actually don't key in to artificial intelligence. There are some SDG goals that is very, very important that I think we should key into is We have to end poverty. We have to make sure that we reduce the amount of hunger that is all over Africa. We have to have healthcare. We have to have quality education. Right? We have to have some form of gender equality, right, and protections therein. And we have to have clean water and sanitation. Right, we have to be responsible consumption of production, and also in terms of climate action, right, we have to take that seriously. In terms of electrification, you can imagine a country and countries across Africa that is actually imbued with sunshine, abundant sunshine, in terms of capacity, in terms of wind production, in terms of solar production, is still very, very low. So these are areas that are opportunities. And I think that we have to start using economic resources for us and by us, in the sense that in terms of actually just exporting raw materials, we have to start turning some of the raw materials into either finished or semi-finished goods, right, for the betterment of Africa as a whole.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Joseph, and Bernard, for holding forth. I'm sure we'll be coming back to you in a bit. But thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Coming up still tonight, defamation case against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan adjourned. We have details of this and more after the break. The Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the cybercrime case involving Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, until October the 20th. Defense Counsel, West Idahosa, SAN, objected to the charges, citing alleged prosecutorial misconduct and incomplete service of witness statements. Prosecution Counsel David Kaswe, attributed the adjournment to bureaucratic issues within the Attorney General's office. The court will now hear the defense objections and continue the trial on the new date. Let's also tell you that President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to constitutional reforms, noting it will strengthen Nigeria's institutions, promote justice, and guarantee fundamental rights. The president was speaking through the secretary to the government, George Akume, at the national public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution in Abuja on Monday. He urged Nigerians to actively participate in the ongoing process, describing it as a historic opportunity to entrench good governance and a golden opportunity to advance democracy and nation building. He commended the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review, chaired by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, for creating an inclusive platform that engages citizens, civil society, political parties, professionals, and traditional institutions in the amendment process. Dr. Frank Wike Jr. is Nigeria's former Minister of Information and National Orientation. He joins us now for his stance on the ongoing public hearing on the Constitution Review. It's a pleasure to have you on the news tonight. How have you been, Doctor? All right. Nigerians have been presented with another opportunity to amend its ground norm, and you spoke mainly about diaspora voting and individual candidacy. What is it? Unfortunately, we seem to have lost connection with Dr. Wike Jr., who will try and reconnect and go back to that conversation. For now, let's tell you that Nigeria's telecommunications giant, Globacom, has unveiled the Glo Talk Master to reward new and existing customers for choosing the Glo network. The launch of their new product was done at the company headquarters at the Mike Adenuga Towers in Victoria Island, Lagos. News Center's Omolola Ololade reports.
Globacom on Monday unveiled two enterprise business products designed under the Glo Talk Master to appreciate new and existing customers for choosing the Glo network. One of the products is the 2,000 Naira welcome bonus for new customers, which includes 1,000 Naira or 25-minute talk time and an additional 1,000 Naira for 1 gigabyte free data. The other product for both new and existing customers is the 6-minute bonus for every 6 minutes of talk time with an additional 50 megabyte data bonus. The retail marketing manager, Viju Jonathan, says the launch of the new product is a way of giving back to their customers.
Free welcome bonus here, which includes about 25 minutes and 1 GB of data here. And the next one is the big, which is where we are offering a life-changing product here and a momentous product here, which is for every minute the customer talks, he gets 1 minute free. This is a one-of-its-kind product which we are launching in Nigeria, and we hope these two products would combine to enhance the lives and also provide value to our customers.
One of the management staff emphasizes that the new product and campaign aim to appreciate and reward customers for their loyalty, providing more value and benefits for choosing Glow.
I'm not passing the message only to Glow customers, I'm talking to Nigerians in all. So we're saying, get your Glow line. Automatically, you'll be on the Glow Talkmaster. And if you're an existing customer, we're saying, dial *606# and you'll be on Talkmaster. And when you're on that, basically, you have no reason to use any other network. For all your communication needs, channel everything to your Glow line, and you get rewarded like no one does in the market.
By dialing *606#, new and existing customers can now activate these offers to enjoy these freebies provided by Glow Network. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
What a short break. When we come back, we will have that conversation with Dr. Frank Weke Jr. Just stay with us. Dr. Frank Weke Jr. is Nigeria's former Minister of Information and National Orientation. He joins me now for his stance on the ongoing public hearing on the Constitution review. Thank you for being here. Talk to us about your thoughts about this review. I mean, one time too many. There are conversations around whether we need a whole new constitution, and then we have this one now.
We on?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much, Felicity. Thank you, and thank you for the great work that the News Central team has been doing since you commenced transmission nationally. First of all, I've adopted a very pragmatic view about the matter of constitutional amendment in our country. As you pointed out, it's one amendment too many. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that the current constitution is not what we should be dealing with at this time. It is flawed in several respects, and I've heard people from different sides of the aisle making very strong statements, very, very strong representations on the need to have a brand new constitution. But the fact of the matter is that as things stand today, if we must, have a constitution based on through legal means, the only institution of government or governance that is mandated by law to put in place a new constitution is this National Assembly. But they have chosen a different path. They've chosen to amend the constitution, and this is what we've had. When you look at the frequency and the depth and dimensions of the kinds of amendments, again, it makes even a stronger case for there to be a national dialogue, a national conversation on on a new constitution, how we really want to cohabit, how we want to govern ourselves as a nation. And but like I said, I adopt a very pragmatic approach. This is what we have. The National Assembly have the mandate. This is what they're doing. Okay. And I'm happy in a way that citizens have shown up and to say, okay, this is where we are today. Let's do the best we can under the circumstance. Wow. So this is really my view on the matter.
You've spoken a bit about this issue prior, and you spoke mainly about diaspora voting, and you also talked about individual candidacy. Why is that so important to fix politics NG at this time?
Okay, so Felicity, it's a no-brainer, if I may put it that way. Okay, and why do I say this? Now, data available to us. There's something we say at Fix Politics, right? In God we trust. Everyone else should bring their data. It's a mantra we have, because when there's empirical evidence to underpin a policy position, then that policy position should ordinarily be unimpeachable, or that data should be unimpeachable. And so it strengthens your hand in making a case. Let's look at the diaspora situation in this circumstance. So data available to us shows that there are between 17 to 20 million Nigerians in diaspora, and the diaspora at the moment. This is the data that is available to us. And if you look at, say, let's look at the 2023 elections, based on data from INEC, about 22 million votes were cast, say, in the presidential elections, thereabout. And His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was declared winner, won the election with less than 10 million votes, right? So here you are, just 22 million votes were cast for the presidential election in your country in one election cycle. But you have 17 to 20 million people outside your shores, right? Not just that these people are citizens, these people have a right, they ought to have a voice in the way their nation is being governed. And yet we deny them this opportunity. But why is this even more important? This diaspora community, right, they contribute significantly to our economic development. Available data again shows that in 2024, these diaspora remittances to Nigeria totaled about $20.93 billion. Now, in 2023, it totaled about $19.3 billion US, right? This is the kind of contribution that they make economically. And these monies go to real estate, they go to education, they go to healthcare, they go to upkeep, they go to investments in the stock exchange and things like that. Why do you want people who are so who play such a major role in your economy, why do you think they have no right to have a say in the governance of their country? Excuse me, let me even say something else. Nigeria's diaspora remittances accounts for 35% of the total diaspora remittances into sub-Saharan Africa. And even more importantly, Felicity, I'll tell you one more thing that might intrigue you, right? That over a 5-year period, total remittances came to about $90 billion from diaspora, from Nigerians in diaspora. So why would you ignore these kinds of people? How do you disenfranchise these kinds of people? That's why we're making a very strong case for these diasporans, Nigerians in diaspora, to have opportunity to have a say in how our country is being run. And what we're saying is not novel. There are smaller countries, far less developed countries on the continent who have already embraced diaspora voting. Of course, Europe and Americas, there are many countries who implement these things in varying degrees. Countries as like Togo, like Burkina Faso, like South Africa, like Benin, all of these countries actually have diaspora voting. Why are we afraid? Why are we shying away from this? Is there something else that we don't want to confront? So that is why we're making a very strong case that Nigerians in diaspora should be given a chance to have a say in the way our country is being run. It's good for our democracy. It's about inclusivity, right? It's about civic responsibility.
All right.
But by simply ignoring them, by simply not willing to do anything about it, you cannot.
Yeah, we're time pressed. I'll just chip in one last question quickly, and that has to do with the seats for women. There was a call for that urgently. Do you have any contributions regarding this demand? If you can do that in 1 minute, that would be great.
Fantastic. I mean, absolutely. It is in our national interest. It is in our best interest. It is the right thing to do. It is fair. It is just. It is pragmatic. It is consistent with global best practice for our mothers, our daughters, and our wives, right? Our friends, you know, who constitute about 50% of our population, right? It is fair for them to have adequate representation in public governance. And history has shown that when we've had women in various, you know, in high positions you know, in high public positions, they've done well. Right? Females like Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, we have Amina Mohammed, and they go down in history. Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, Gambo Sawaba, people like Margaret Ebo, and many others that do not come to mind. People like Professor Joy Ezilo. There are people who have distinguished themselves in various, these women have distinguished themselves. So why not? So we actually should change our nation when we deliberately embrace misogyny, when we deliberately embrace chauvinism, and embarrass our mothers and our sisters and our wives, believing that they're only good enough when the lights are off.
Well, let's hope that this time it goes beyond talking and actually gets into the Constitution. Thank you very much, Frank, for giving us your time. Away from that, the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, arrived at the State House earlier on Monday, his first visit since the lifting of Rivers State of emergency last week and the end of his 6-month suspension. The meeting follows separate consultations the president held earlier today with the governors, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and top economic officials. According to the governor, his visit was to officially let the president know that he is back to work after his 6-month suspension. From Nigeria, South Sudan's opposition leader and former Vice President Riek Machar has appeared in court on charges of crimes against humanity and treason. Machar's lawyer told the tribunal it lacks jurisdiction and described the proceedings as incompetent. The opposition figure is accused of ordering attacks on government forces earlier this year. His supporters dismissed the case as politically motivated, saying it is designed to weaken him and undermine the fragile 2018 power-sharing agreement. Now, France says it will recognize a Palestinian state this week during the United Nations General Assembly in New York amid the ongoing war in Gaza. President Emmanuel Macron is expected to make the announcement as part of a broader diplomatic push following similar moves last Sunday by Britain, Ghana, Canada, I beg your pardon, Australia and Portugal. Macron describes the step as vital to reviving a peace process and isolating Hamas. But Israel has strongly condemned the recognition, calling it a concession to terrorism. France, alongside Saudi Arabia, will also convene a summit aimed at reigniting the two-state solution. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment. Do stay with us.
Nigeria's economy recorded a 4.23% year-on-year growth in real gross domestic product in Q2 of 2025. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. This marks an improvement from 3.48% in Q2 of 2024 and 3.13% in Q1 of 2025. The growth was driven by a rebound in oil production, resilient non-oil activity, and a recent GDP rebasing using 2019 as the new base year. Sectoral performance showed agriculture expanding 2.82% compared to 2.6% a year earlier. Industry surging to 7.45% from 3.72%, and services rising 3.94% from 3.83%. Analysts view the figures as a sign of strengthening recovery despite lingering structural challenges. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, has accused the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers of collecting up to 50,000 naira per truck at his refinery, warning that such levies inflate fuel pump prices and burden consumers. Speaking to journalists, Dangote described the charges as rent-seeking practices that discourage efficiency in the downstream sector. He recalled past experiences where transporters allegedly held his company by the neck, prompting the establishment of an in-house fleet now expanded with 4,000 CNG-powered trucks. The union has not responded to this line of accusations. Today on the NGX, the market showed mixed results, small gains in trading activity, but a slight dip in overall performance. The all-share index today dropped by 0.25%, even though more shares changed hands and more deals were done compared to the previous day. And out of 125 equities traded, only 22 saw gains, while 28 posted losses. So the all-share index for today closed at, can we get that back, please? Can we get the all-share index? back. Thank you. So the all-share index today closed at 141,498.22 basis points, and the market capped out at 89.52 trillion naira. Now let's move on to sectoral performances. Let's see what's going on there. Unfortunately, today's sectoral performances was really bad, as it is swimming in a sea of red. Now we have banking closing at 0.25%. That is down by 0.25%. Insurance also down by 0.08%. Oil and gas dropped by 0.5%. Consumer goods 0.77%. And industrial goods, no action there, steady at 0%. Now today's NGX performance reflects a market still finding its balance. The stronger activity on the floor, but a pullback in prices weighing on the index. The cautious tone from investors signals that confidence is still fragile, shaped by broader economic pressures like inflation and currency volatility. And that's a wrap on Business Tonight. My name is Chamun Dabeng. Coming up next, sports with Udoka.
In sports, Botswana has declared a public holiday to celebrate the country's victory in the men's 4x400 meters at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, the first African nation to win the event. President Duma Boko hailed the gold medal as a historic African win. In an online address praising the team for their performance, he announced on Monday, the 29th of September, as a holiday to celebrate the achievement a day ahead of the country's Independence Day. On Sunday, Botswana's quartet of Lee Bekompilo Epi, Leslie Tebogo, Bayapondori, and Busan Colin Kebinatshipi urged out the U.S., the winners of the past 10 world titles, in a rain-drenched race. South Africa took third position, and Botswana finished fifth overall in the championships medal standing, their best ever return after taking 2 golds, 1 silver, and a bronze medal. Last year, Botswana celebrated another historic milestone as Tebogo won the nation's first Olympic gold medal with his victory in the men's 200-meter in Paris. Let's talk about badminton now, as the Abia State capital, Umuahia, is getting ready to welcome some of the world's best para-badminton players for 2 events, the Maiden Abia Para-Badminton International Tournament and the All-African Para-Badminton Championships. Both tournaments are sanctioned by the Badminton World Federation and the Badminton Confederation of Africa. According to the Abia State Commissioner for Sports and Social Development, Mwobilo Ananaba, the state is ready to become Africa's hub for the sports. Both competitions will take place from the 30th of September to the 12th of October at the newly refurbished International Conference Center in Umuahia. According to Ananaba, the venue has been upgraded to meet international standards, with several pre-event activities already held to test the venue and build momentum. Over 374 players from Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Africa are expected to be a part of this one. Now, Lamine Yamal has been awarded the men's Copa Trophy for best performing player in the world under the age of 21. Paris Saint-Germain's manager Luis Enrique and England women national team coach Serena Wigman picked up the Johan Cruyff Trophy for men and women. England goalkeeper Hannah Hampton is named the best women's goalkeeper in the world, while Donnarumma won the best men's goalkeeper in the world. And of course, the most celebrated one has to be the men's player of the year. It was won by no other person than PSG's forward Ousmane Dembele. Now, earlier today, in a tightly contested Nigeria Premier League fixture, Katsina United defeated visiting Wiki Tourist 1-0. Playing at the Mohammed Dikko Stadium, Usman Barao scored the only goal of the match in the 16th minute to secure all 3 points for the home team. The win temporarily takes Katsina United up to the 4th position on the league table, while Wiki Tourists stay 8th on the log. 4 matches were postponed due to CAF club competition commitments involving Remo Stars, Rivers United, Kwara United, and Abia Warriors. Abia Warriors will host Remo Stars on the 1st of October. The same day, Rivers United has been scheduled to host Niger Tornadoes. The Canopilas versus Kwara United tie will be played at the Sani Abacha Stadium on the 8th of October. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka Njoko.
Sam Dandy is here with the latest in entertainment. Hi, Sam Dandy.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great.
So much is happening in entertainment. Of course, earlier we did get news, an update on Lil Kesh, that some people have been arrested. But we also do have Cardi B making great numbers.
Yeah.
Cardi B is making history with her sophomore album, Am I the Drama, and a Guinness World Record to match this. The rapper pulled off a jaw-dropping promo stunt, delivering 176 signed CDs to fans in Dallas-Fort Worth via Walmart and Wing drones. The most drone deliveries in 1 hour, confirmed by Guinness World Record themselves on X. Now, the spectacle had Bardigans, of course, her fans, buzzing as the packages dropped from the sky, setting the perfect stage for her 23-track project. Now, that's not all. On the charts, it's doing impressive. Cardi is flexing harder. The project has entered the U.S. Apple Music's top 40, with 6 songs hitting #1, tying with Drake's record. Now, let's talk about some of the collaborations on this one. From Janet Jackson to Kehlani, there's, of course, South African singer Tyler, who Africa is proud. I think when we say Nadende Roshos, I was hoping to see a Nigerian on this one. But since we've given Tyler Afrobeats awards and she is African, I want to say it's not a surprise now that it does in some way.
Cardi B keeps setting the bar with her music.
Honestly.
But I think it's fair we mention the fact that suspect has been arrested in Little Kesh's case.
That's right.
For those that might not be aware of it, we discussed it here, so it's imperative that we mention that suspects have been arrested and our police officers are actually doing well. So kudos. Hopefully they are the actual people that committed the crime.
Hopefully they are, and such things never happen again. Because it's one thing for us to correct, but prevention, I think, is always a better way to go. Well, those are the biggest stories in entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
And that's the news tonight. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us your eyewitness report. The number to do so is showing now on your screen. You can follow us on all social media platforms as well. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.